Good day. We've had this set of shelves at the side of our house for many a year. I'm not sure if it used to be a grow house or not. I think actually it was just a set of shelves, and I decided to bring them down because we don't need them at the house. And I'm also now wondering whether we need them here or whether this should be something that's gifted. I mean, it fits perfectly, it will fit perfectly between the bed here and the grow house, and would be really useful for seedling space and modules and plants, you know, as they grow on. But the thing is, will we be needing it this year? Because I'm not going to be growing as much. I'm not going to be sowing brassicas. So yeah, or if I am going to be doing brassicas, they're going to be really early brassicas, and there'll be plenty of room on benches. So yeah, I'm wondering. And of course, behind here, this is a tub of iris and tulips, and the tub of daffodils in Jax's trough. They're going over now, so they'll be finished. What I could do is move those two troughs to along the back here in front of the bush stroke tree honeysuckle. That makes sense. It's not an area I need to get to greatly, but it comes down to the want and need issue. You know, just because we want something, it doesn't actually mean that we need it. And would this be better gifted to someone else? There's no doubt in my mind it's a useful bit of kit to have for someone. Whether it's right for us this year, I'm not sure, and I wouldn't be taking it to where we're going to be moving to, you know, so because I don't know, well, one hopes we'll have space there, but I don't know whether it will fit there, if you see what I mean. And I don't mean fit as in centimetres and inches, I mean fit as in how we're going to be living our lives thereafter. So yeah, I'm sort of wondering, I want to keep it because I think it's really useful, but do I really need to keep it? You know, I keep on looking at it here and thinking, oh, it would be very useful for seedlings, for this, for that, for the other. But we've got two really good wooden benches. In fact, we've got three really solid wooden benches. One at the side of the shed in front of me here, one next to where we planted the potatoes last week, and one in the polytunnel, which is our seedlings bench, and we've got our pots underneath there. So I don't really need something, and those are really solid. Even though this is really sturdy, you know, it's more flimsy, if you see what I mean. It's very light, you know, it's really light. So if there isn't anything on it, even though it's wire and metal, it could be blown over. So I would need to peg it into the ground, secure it into the ground to make sure that it didn't blow over. Because the other thing is, if you don't peg it onto the ground and you do actually have some plants on the top here, let's say with a cover on them, the wind could traction against the plants and the cover and the seed tray, the gravel tray, and actually push the whole thing over anyway. So it really needs to be secured. And where this is, it would need to be secured on concrete slabs because we've got patio slabs down here. So I'd need to use some other slabs to weigh down the bottom side of it, or the bottom of it, to make sure that it was secure. Yeah. So yeah, it's that need and want, you know, just because we want something, it doesn't mean that we need it. And I think that's really a good thing for me to think about over the coming days. I need to plan out what I do think I'm going to be growing. I've sort of got it in my mind, but I haven't put it down on paper yet. But as I say, I don't think I'm going to be sowing any brassicas. We've got some brassicas coming, fingers crossed, from an order that is being placed for the whole allotment site by one person. So they're buying multiples of 130 brassicas, and I think I'm getting 14 of those, or 10 or something like that. So yeah, I won't be sowing brassicas because it's you know, unless we win the lottery and pay off the rest of our mortgage, we won't be here in the autumn. But also the other thing is that Richard and I both feel it's time for us to leave London. You know, it's not just about the mortgage, it's about having other challenges and having other excitement elsewhere. And I think we're both in need of a change at the moment. We'd only ever intended to stay in our house about 10 years and we're coming up to 20. So yeah. And of course what's happening is, because we've been clearing out the house, I'm looking at things down here thinking, what are you actually going to be taking with you, Paul, from here? You know, obviously the edge beds and things like that, we're not going to be taking those, the raised beds. And in fact, many of them need work. Whether we'll do that work or we'll just, what's it called, Heath Robinson the job for this next 4-5 months, I'm not sure. But I was thinking, I really like the hexagonal compost bin. But do I really want to dismantle that and take it with me when I would most probably be building, if we have space to do this, a compost bin where we're moving to, which, as you know, we don't know where we're moving to yet. We're looking in a corridor between Macclesfield and Barmouth in Wales. So Macclesfield, south of Manchester, and Barmouth, West Wales. I'm thinking about cutting, so the josterberry cuttings, you know, instead of digging up the josterberries, which I was thinking about taking, if those cuttings that we're going to be taking this week strike, then I would be taking those instead. So I'm, you know, the gooseberries here, you know, next to me in the soft fruit bed, there's one particularly fantastic gooseberry that I think I will take. The others are fine, you know, they're nice, but there's one red one which is really, really tasty. So I think we might dig that up, even though it won't be the right time of year to be moving soft fruit, you know. And maybe I think I might come on to optimal times again later this week or maybe next week in our segments of a week at the plot. But I'm thinking about my tools here. You know, I've got a fork from, where's that from? Wilko, fork and spade from Wilko, and I really, really like them both. The spade is really great. The fork was really great because one of the tines has moved a bit. I think I was trying to get something out and I thought it was a root and it turned out to be a stone, and one of the tines has just moved. And do I want to take that with me? Could I give that to somebody else who doesn't have any money to buy tools? And that fork will do them really well for many years, you know, because at the moment, and hopefully as we go forward, we will have the money to replace that fork. I'm not talking about a hand fork, I'm talking about, you know, a full-size fork. There's rakes. I like our rakes. I'll take our rake. The hoe, I really like the hoe. I'll take the whole hoe. Almost said the wrong thing then. Yeah, and I'm sort of, there's things, because I was thinking, right, you know, we'll need a small van to pack up things here and they will need to go. And there's two things, isn't there? There's the things that you want to keep because they have sentimental value. There's the things that you want to keep because you know they're good and they work for you, you know, which is why I'm going to keep that spade, definitely. I'm going to keep the hoe. I'm going to keep the main rake we use. The grass rake, I think I might give to the allotment association, you know, because if the tools aren't gifted within here, they'll be gifted to the allotment association. The benches, however, are really sturdy benches. You know, I think they cost me about 100 quid each, and they're really, really good benches. And I have in the summer taken them, given them a treatment. so hopefully those will be fine to take with me. But they're pretty cumbersome, you know, and they're pretty heavy. They are heavy benches, you know. I mean, they're sturdy, they're heavy benches. I would like to take those with me. 300 quid in benches, maybe they're more than that now, I don't know. You know, it's most probably sensible to have that on a truck, to allow space for that on a removal truck, because it's 300, 400 pounds, maybe even 500 pounds that I would need to replace. So it's sensible to have that cost within our removal to take those. But I won't be taking the polytunnel. I won't be taking quite a lot of things, you know, and clearing out things at home has really made me think, you know, what are you going to be taking, Paul? And that's something that I'm going to be thinking about over the coming weeks. So this really useful plastic and metal set of shelving I won't be taking with me when we move, but do I want it here? Yes. Do I need it here this year? I'm going to have a little think about that. Anyway, I think it's always useful when you're thinking about moving, or when you are thinking about buying something, to really have a good think about the want and the need conundrum. Just because you want something, it doesn't mean that you need it. You know, I'm sure many of us, I'm sure the largest percentage of us in society, maybe not quite 100%, maybe 99.99%, have bought things that actually we wanted but we didn't really need. And then we've either stuck them in a cupboard or given them away or sold them on eBay or something like that, you know. So before you buy anything, do have that think about want and need. Do I want it? Possibly. Do I need it? Maybe, or maybe not. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for today, and I will see you again very soon, because I do want to take those Josterberry cuttings. See you soon. Oh, and welcome to this first segment, Monday segment, of A Week at the Plot. Bye. Good day. There were some large bits of wood at home that I thought would be best down here, so I brought those down here. And having thought overnight, I decided I wasn't going to use that shelving here this year. So I have taken it down to another plot holder who mentioned yesterday on Planet Vegetaria, oh, you know, I think it'd be really useful. Do take it with you. And I said, well, actually, I was going to offer it to you. And she said, well, if you don't take it, I'll have it. So it's now down on her plot, and she will have use of it this year. I knew I wasn't going to use it this year because of the smaller amount of growing that we're doing, and also because of the increase in direct sowing that we're doing, because I used to sow a lot of beans and peas in I used to sow them, and then I transplant them into individual pots. And with beans and with peas, I'm doing so much direct sowing nowadays that I don't need to pot them on. It saves on compost and it saves on time. I usually do a few as sort of backups and as fill-ins for if some get eaten. But yeah, I wasn't going to be using those shelves this year, so best they go to my fabulous plot neighbour, though she's not a neighbour, she's right down the other side, so that she can use them and get benefit from them. So she does a huge amount for the allotment association here, she does a huge amount for the community in general, She runs another green space called Catherine Buchan Meadow, which is at the top of the road here, and it's a really fabulous space. It really is. So she does a lot, so she can benefit from those, or that set of shelves. So I came into the poly just to check about watering, and what I noticed is that something has been having a nibble of our turnip seedlings, and it's going to be slugs or snails, we know that. And I have used some organic slug pellets because the modules of turnips and beetroot, the beetroot haven't been touched so far, but the modules that we've got here, they're on a bench, they're above the ground, so I'm not too worried about using a small amount of slug pellets there because they're the organic slug pellets. However, when it comes to outside, when anything can get at those slugs and snails, including frogs and toads, and a grass snake that we've got that pops its head up every now and again, well, its whole body in fact, not just its head. Yeah, I don't use them outside, but when it's in a contained environment, when it's inside a grow house, or whether it's on here on our bench in these modules, that I think is contained, and I'm happy to use the organic slug pellets there. I would never use the non-organic slug pellets anymore. And in fact, once I've used up the slug pellets, the organic slug pellets, I will have a good hard think about whether I continue to use them. Just like with chicken manure pellets, it doesn't quite fit with my sort of ethos, but also it fits with my ethos of wanting to grow and eat things. So it's a balance. Gardening and growing and allotmenteering is very, very often about balance between what you want, balance between what nature wants, and balance between what the environment needs. So yeah, I'll have a think. Hopefully by then we'll have moved anyway, and maybe things will be very, very different. Who knows? Anyway, I'm going to leave it there for now, and I will see you later this week for a further segment or two of A Week at the Plot. Bye. Good day. The plot has been strimmed. I've left some areas for wildflowers to grow, even though they're in paths. I've had to go home, and I've just come back. There's a few things blown over at the top there, but I've got Johnny Longlegs, who is here. He's bound to move. There he goes. But yeah, I think he's been watching a mouse or something, because he usually runs off quite quickly, but he seems to be hanging round a bit. But yeah, let me pop in the shed. But you can see it's quite a bit later, though the plot here is strimmed. Well, it's fair to say that this afternoon hasn't turned out as I had expected it would, though it's been a lovely afternoon anyway. I came down with shredded paper, which went into our shredded paper bin, so that goes in handfuls into our compost bins. as browns, so that's really good. So I did that. Then I've given the whole plot the first Strim of the year, which is really, really, really good. Then we're doing a bulk order of compost for association members. I think at the moment there's about 5-6 pallets of compost being ordered. So that's compost, soil conditioner and mulch. So people can say, can I have 2 bags of this, 3 bags of that, 1 bag of that? Or, you know, if they just want compost, we just order the compost for them. And that's we're in the middle of that at the moment. And we're also going to be doing our bonfire survey, which I think I've mentioned before. And I was talking to somebody about the bonfire survey, because we just sent out a test survey to see if it works. And then my phone rang, and it was one of our tenants here saying that her husband, who is also a tenant here, was able to come and have a look at something about some work that Richard and I need doing on a sink at home. And would it be okay if they could come straight away? So I sort of left everything here and went home to Richard's painting. So everything's a bit in sort of turmoil at home. But they turned up and have helped enormously with advice and actual physical work on this sink that has been a bit of an issue for Richard and I to address, because it's not our skill set, the work that needs to be done. But they're going to help sort it out, and have given us what needs to be bought to do what we need to do. So that's really, really good. And then I didn't know whether I would be back down here, because I thought they were going to come and give us some advice, but that advice turned into actual physical help, real help. You know, I mean, the advice would have been a help anyway, but physical help. So, of course, that takes a bit of time. I thought I might not come down here today, because we're going out to a neighbour for supper quite soon. But then I realised that I'd left my strimmer out, and the polytunnel was open, and my shed was open. So I texted somebody who was down here saying, you know, could you, I might not be back down. Is there any way that you could shut my shed, Polly, and put the strimmer away, because it might rain. We're due lots of rain tomorrow. And the person said, yeah, sure, no problem. And anyway, we did the work at home, and I've come down here, and yeah, everything has been put away and everything is neat. And then I saw Johnny Longlegs there as well, who normally moves really, really quickly, but today was clearly looking for a mouse or something. But community, you know, that community, isn't it amazing? It really is. I know, you know, we do a lot for our community, and it's lovely to have things done for us as well. So that's really, really great. And yeah, and also eggs. Look at this egg. Look at that egg. Look at that. If I hold it right up, it's as big as my head. But yeah, six really lovely eggs as well from our plot neighbours here. Yeah, so actually this afternoon, which was going to be a bit more work down the plot than I have done, turned out to be a really lovely afternoon anyway, getting stuff done and having community help and wonderful gifts. So tomorrow, oh, and also mention that when I was coming back in the allotment, where we've got the fence line, and we put in that hedge last year, the saplings of hedge plants, I noticed as I was coming in that there were primroses planted through the hedge line as well, 5 or 6 or 7 primrose plants. And I was sure I knew who must have done that. And as I was just about to sit down to film just a few minutes ago, I saw him coming in, and he was coming to me to give me money for his compost, which we're ordering, the order that he's put in. and I sort of said to him, "Oh, was it you who put the primroses in?" And he went, "Yes, it was." So I was able to say thank you very much for putting them in, because they're really great, and they're primroses from the site anyway. They're on the riverbank, our riverbank of the site here, and where there's an area that he manages, they've propagated themselves really well. So he's thinned those out and put the thinnings there. So yeah, lovely. Yeah. Anyway, I'm rambling, but I'm happily rambling, and that's all good. But now I'm going to shut up again here. I'm going to shut up again here, go home and get a bottle of sparkly out of the fridge and go over to a neighbour for some supper. See you tomorrow. Bye. I think it's scrambled eggs in the morning. Bye. Good day and welcome to a soggy plot, I think it's fair to say. It's been raining all morning and we've had rain off and on for a good few days, but today is very different to yesterday afternoon where the sun was out for quite a bit of the afternoon. Today it's been wet all morning and I think it's going to be grey all afternoon. And at least I'm grateful that it's not raining at the moment, because I've been able to get down and do a little bit of tidying, which is really great. It's been something that's been on my list for quite a while. I had prunings from the apple tree that still needed to go onto the dead hedge. I had what else was I doing? Oh, I had to clean up the strimmer from use yesterday because I didn't have time yesterday afternoon to do that. So I've done that today. I have emptied various weeds that have been picked over the last couple of months into the perennial compost bin, or one of our perennial compost bins. I put other compost into other compost bins. So it's been a busy hour or so down here, and then I have done a litter pick So that's a 90-litre black bag, which is about half full of plastic. So because we're at the top of the plot, well, top of the site rather, the plots up here tend to pick up quite a lot of detritus that gets blown by the wind to the top. And yeah, so there's sort of like broken pots in there, plastic pots, there's bits of plastic, there's mainly plastic, actually. I have to say mainly plastic, which is why I'm glad that I'm moving towards using really long-term plastic on the plot, or no plastic at all. Moving towards, not there, moving towards. So we'll we'll see how that goes over the coming years. They've been kicking out the planes at Heathrow, and I can see another one, I can hear another one, and vaguely see another one going over. Let me just pause for a moment. Yes, so basically a hour or so of tidying, which I've rather enjoyed, and I'm starting to really think about the tools and things that I'm going to take with me when we do actually leave this plot and move house. So I've been thinking about that quite a lot as well. And in terms of that, I've been thinking about plastic usage as well. So I'll most probably come on to that in a few months' time when I know more about what I'm going to be taking. But there may be some things here that I've been using quite regularly, or have been ground cover, that I will see if it's any good, and if it still is any good, I may donate that to somebody else, give it to somebody else. Yeah. So that's it for this week's A Week at the Plot. A rather mixed bag of a week, but rather another good week. And of course, another reminder that gardening, allotmenteering can be a 52 weeks a year job. Task, joy, yeah, you know, all of those things it can be. And that's what I try to get over in A Week at the Plot. You know, the fact that even though we come to October, November, and things are quieting down on the plot, in order to prepare for the next growing season, which for me, you know, actually starts in October, it's take that time, take the downtime that winter gives one to think about things and think about how things can be done differently. And I think I'm going to be talking a little bit in coming weeks, maybe even in a segment or final segment of Starting a New Plot, the playlist Starting a New Plot that I did when we came onto this plot here, this half plot as it was then. We still had this plot up here, we had another plot down there, but we gave up that plot to come to this plot and put them both together. So in that playlist Starting a New Plot, I think it would be good to do a final video of what I would have done differently if we had got these two plots together. They're now one, but the two of them together. And B, what I would do differently, even with this half plot, starting from where we were, with the knowledge that I've gained. And I have to say, as I've got a few years older, one of the things I would have done is I would have put more space between our edged beds. So we've got 1, 2, 3 rows of edge beds here, and I think there's something like 60 centimeters. I think I would have done them quite a bit wider, but you know what, I didn't, and maybe the next person, they can decide exactly how they want this plot when they do get it, which will be likely in October or September or October, and then they can make their own decisions about what they do. There is actually already a waiting list for my plot, so we allow people to switch plots, so you can say, oh, if so and so goes, I would like plot number 7, if you see what I mean. So there are several people on the waiting list for the whole of this plot. So yeah, Anyway, look, there's another plane. I'll come on to that another day, but I'm just going to say for now, I'm going to pause it. Sound advice to not shout over a rather large plane that's taking off from Heathrow. I think that's fair to say. Yeah, so I'm going to leave this video here. I haven't done the last sort of 30-40 seconds of the video that I normally do, so I think I'm going to leave you with bamboo blowing in the wind, and I will see you again next week on Planet Vegetaria for segments of a week at the plot, and I will see you on YouTube in a week's time with the full upload of a week at the plot. Have a good week, and any comments or questions, please do leave them below, and I will see you very soon. Bye.